Looks great, yeah.
Great. Oops. I cannot go back. Oops. Sorry. Alrighty. All right. And it didn't say recording in progress.
Oh, I've got the recording. Don't worry about that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Okay, great. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ari Simmons. I am a program manager for Solar Oregon. I'm here today with Zach, who is also a program manager. And welcome to our How to Go Solar workshop. We're hoping today that you'll be able to explore your solar energy options, engage with us, ask questions. Be sure to drop them in the chat, and we're happy to have you here today. So today we will be providing an overview of how solar energy works. We'll provide the tools that you need to assess if solar is right for your home, and lay out the incentives that are available for you to be able to go solar. And we'll also provide a little bit of what's coming up in Solar Oregon, as well as have an open Q&A to address any of your questions that you might have about your solar energy goals. So who is Solar Oregon? Well, you're pretty much looking at us. Zach and I are the main core of solar energy, and we also have several really awesome board members. Solar Oregon has been around for quite some time. We've been serving the communities all across Oregon for over 40 years, mostly focused on education, but we do community outreach and advocacy when necessary. And as I'm sure many of you know, the solar energy industry is growing exponentially, and we're definitely here to help support that industry growth. We also provide webinars like these, How to Go Solar, but also some more technical elements of solar energy. We prioritize events planning and provide solar energy tours. And we help organize grassroots campaigns such as Solarize campaigns, which bring homeowners together in different communities all across Oregon and across the US now, that provide homeowners lower price options for going solar. And of course, we connect community members together, nonprofit organizations together, industry members together to provide peer-to-peer education so that people are clear about their solar energy goals and are able to meet them. Thank you so much to everyone who is a current member of Solar Oregon. However, we are a nonprofit organization and do depend on membership as being a way to financially support us. Membership starts at only $40, and we encourage you to donate. Zach is going to drop a link into the chat. If you can't do $40 today, any amount really helps us and supports the growth of solar energy here in Oregon. Another way to support us is to follow us on social media. We're on every platform, and even just liking and sharing our content is a way to really get the education flowing in our communities and make people more aware. We also need to give a big shout out to the Energy Trust of Oregon, who makes presentations like these possible and supports these presentations for us here at Solar Oregon. The Energy Trust of Oregon is an independent nonprofit that provides access to affordable energy. They prioritize generating homegrown renewable power, and they serve over 1.6 million customers in Portland General Electric, Pacific Power, Northwest Natural, Cascade Natural Gas, and Avista territories. So thank you so much, Solar Oregon, for making presentations like these possible and for serving Oregonians all across the state. So a lot of you know how to use Zoom already with this COVID-19 lifestyle. A lot of us are familiar with Zoom, but those that are not familiar with Zoom, your controls are located down at the bottom of your screen if you're on a web browser, and you can just pop questions and any thoughts during the presentation into the chat, or you can use the Q&A function, which is located right down there. We will get to your questions at the end of the presentation. We're also going to be launching several polls just to get a pulse on who is attending our webinars and collecting just some information that's useful for us in tailoring our presentations. So I'm going to go ahead and launch 3 short, simple, and easy polls. All you have to do is just quickly answer them, and we should be able to share some of the results with you. Zach, I'm pressing polls, but it's not letting me launch any.
Let me see if I can. Do you want to make me host and I can try to launch them?
Sure. Sorry about the technical difficulties, everybody. It looks like I can't do much while I'm sharing my screen. Like it's not letting me do anything while I share my screen.
Oh, this might have been my fault. I might have configured polls. Let me see if I can do that in the Zoom thing, and you can keep going.
Okay, well, we can save the polls to the end of the presentation. Let's just delve right into how solar works. So this is a very basic diagram that outlines a very basic overview of system components and what actually goes in and onto your home with a solar energy installation. Of course, to start off, we have our photovoltaic panels or solar energy panels, and they receive direct energy from the sun that is essentially direct current or DC current. That current is then transferred into your inverter, which takes that current and turns it into AC or alternating current that feeds into your home's electrical panel and allows your home to be powered by your solar array. From there, your energy is feeds into a bidirectional utility meter that goes to the electricity grid and contributes that solar energy to the grid. The energy that you're not consuming is then, the energy that you consume sometimes is less than your energy, is less than the energy that your solar generates. So then it goes back into your home through a process called net metering, which we will talk about shortly. As I mentioned, inverters are the second component of a solar energy system, but they're an important one. And aesthetically, this is what it looks like on a home or on a business. You can see that white box right there is your inverter. Usually on a business, an emergency shutoff is also required. So that is right next to the inverter, and then you have of course, your utility meter. And that's gonna look different for different homes. And then adjacent to that is microinverters, which pretty much do very similar things, and those are located on the underside of your solar energy panels. When you meet with your installer, you can discuss which option would work best for your home or your business. Another important consideration is, of course, system mounting, and these are 2 of the main types of mounting. We have the roof mounting, which is really common. I'm sure if you're driving around your neighborhood, you can see several homes with solar on top, and Zach and I like to call it out too whenever we see it, whenever we're together. And then, of course, we have ground mounting, which is a little less common for homes, but sometimes is the only option or the aesthetic option of choice. And that might get a little bit more complicated with trenching and things like that, but you can definitely work with your installer to get that all squared away. And ground mounting is perfect if you have a farm or a larger property that you would like to power. So we're going to revisit the topic of net metering because this is important for understanding how bill crediting happens with your solar installation. So as you can see, we split this into 2 separate segments. You have your summer months and your winter months. We live in the Pacific Northwest, so typically when the sun is out for 12 plus hours a day at times, you of course are producing more energy than you're consuming. And that additional energy that you're consuming is considered net metered credit. And you can see the yellow or the orange bar is the produced solar energy, and then your consumed is going to be the blue. And then of course in the winter months, you can see that that bar is slightly lower than the energy that you consume. You can bank credits on a month-to-month basis starting in March, and you can use those solar energy credits that you earned during the summer months to apply during your bill during the winter months. So you will see a net return on your solar investment over time, which makes solar financially really compelling. And there are some really awesome incentives that also additionally help with providing a feasible solar installation probably within your timeline. So I covered a lot of information, so be sure to drop any questions that you might have in the chat, and we're just going to go right into, is my home right for solar, or is solar right for your home? So something important to consider, and something that's often asked a lot of us and of an installer, is your system size. How much solar can I put on my home? And that truly is based off of how much electricity that you consume. Often installers are not going to quote you a system size that's larger than your energy consumption. It's simply not necessary. And other important factors that go into considering your system size is, of course, your available roof space, your budget, and what you like your solar energy system to look like. And then solar energy is often measured in kilowatts, with the average solar energy system in Oregon being about 6 kilowatts or 18 panels for you to visualize that on your roof. But like I said, it's going to look different for each home, and it can be tailored to your specific needs and budget. Another really important consideration is how much solar your home actually is able to access. So on the graphic on the left, you can see that we're of course in the northern hemisphere, so you can see that the sun is clearly facing to the south. So any south-facing roof exposure is going to get you that close to 100% mark. And that's, of course, often varying if you have trees and things like that on your property as well. And then, of course, you can see that east and west exposure gets you about 85% solar exposure. So that also is an ideal orientation. If you have a north-facing house, solar installers will often tell you not to pursue solar because you won't receive any solar exposure. And installers often come with a device that will allow you to see how much solar your array will produce annually, which is really helpful for homeowners to kind of assess how much they'll be saving per month and annually. Roof material is another important consideration. These are two of the more ideal types of roofs to have for solar energy installation. With asphalt shingles, there's a certain racking mechanism and procedure that's done, and with standing seam metal roofs, they use clamps instead of having to drill into your roof to put anything on there. So yeah, definitely when you're looking at your roof, assess if you have an asphalt or standing seam metal roof. Really, solar installers are crafty and are able to install solar on almost any type of roof, including flat and other types of shingles, but these are important considerations if you're looking to replace your roof. And then, of course, roof condition and age play an important factor. With metal roofs, it's rarely an issue that you have to update. However, with asphalt, the newer, the better. And then, of course, the energy trust incentive, which we'll talk about in just a couple minutes, requires at least a 10-year roof life minimum. So if your roof is older than 10 years, you might want to consider installing a new roof before pursuing a solar installation. It's also just a hassle for you to have to remove a solar array to replace any components of the roof. You're better off just doing that legwork ahead of time and then pursue the solar installation afterward. And that's often a barrier that folks face, so it's a definitely important consideration. Another important consideration is how your roof is structured. So on the left side, we have trusses, and on the right side, we have rafters. With trusses, there is a bit more stability for your solar installation to not only bear the weight, but also to ensure that the wind shear doesn't actually take your roof off. With rafters, you may need a little bit of engineering to ensure that your roof can withhold the shear of the wind, because you don't want your solar array to fly off or your roof to be ripped off, which is, won't happen if the solar installation, if the solar installers catch that and are able to provide you quotes and things for engineering. So let's delve into the financial feasibility of getting a solar array. So as you can see, according to this graph, US solar PV prices are on a steady decline. Well, right now they're kind of plateauing, but in the early 2010s, you could see that solar was easily $5+ a watt, and now we are currently at that $2, between the $2 $1.50 range. So solar accessibility and solar pricing is directionally heading in a really positive way, and is making it a lot more accessible for folks to be able to install solar on their homes and businesses. And here in Oregon, we are truly blessed with some really great opportunities to save some money when installing a solar energy system. So of course, we have the Solar Investment Tax Credit, or ITC, which is a federal tax credit, and it provides 26% back dollar for dollar for your solar installation. And we have the Solar Storage and Rebate and the Energy Trust of Oregon's Solar Within Reach program. So as I mentioned, 26% for the investment tax credit. With the solar and storage rebate out of the Oregon state legislature, you can save up to $5,000 on your solar installation, and you can, with the Energy Trust of Oregon, you can save up to $2.8 or $2,800 on your solar installation. So really excellent incentives. And the Solar Within Reach program is one that we definitely want to highlight. It is an Energy Trust of Oregon program, so you do have to be an Energy Trust of Oregon territory. And with Pacific Power, you can earn up to $5,400 on your solar energy system, and in PGE territory, you can earn up to $9,000 on your solar energy installation. There are income requirements for this program, so there are incentives for lower to moderate income households to receive a discount on their solar energy system, and this is an example of a four-person income resident at almost $100,000 per year as being qualified in the incentive. And we'll provide a link that provides a map of exactly where you would fall into that category. This is one of the coolest parts of the presentation, I think, is laying out a sample budget of a solar energy system and seeing exactly how these incentives come into play. So for instance, if a solar energy installation costs about $20,000, you can see what this looks like with and without the low or moderate income residential rebate. So of course, with the Energy Trust incentive, you can see that for those that qualify, you can receive up to $9,000, which would make your total out-of-pocket costs $11,000. And with the Energy Trust incentive, for those that don't fall into that category, you would still save about $1,800 in PGE territory, which would bring your net cost from $20,000 down to $18,200. And then, of course, with the DOE rebate, the solar and storage rebate, you can see how this also reduces the out-of-pocket cost. And then when you compound that with the 26% federal tax credit, you can see an enormous cost saving for folks here in Oregon. Oregon has a really great, very robust incentive program, and definitely one that everyone should be knowledgeable about and take advantage of when going solar. So how do you get started? So you have all this information, you're ready to go. What are some of your next steps? Trade allies. So when selecting a contractor, we know that can often be difficult, and there's a lot of installers out there with a lot of different deals, and we want to make sure that when you decide to pursue solar, you pursue the right contractor. And Energy Trust of Oregon does a really great job vetting through that competition and picking out very vigorously qualified installers and really any kind of contractor that you might need to make this solar installation possible, from engineering to roof replacement to trenching to whatever you need. And of course, they're familiar with the Energy Trust design and installation requirements so that your solar installation is top-notch, top quality, and is something that you can be proud of and not have to worry about and just enjoy the benefits from. Another thing that we recommend is getting a number of quotes and different bids. Sometimes, like finding anything, like sometimes your first installer isn't the right installer for you. So getting a number of bids is definitely important to really understand the cost implications and to get exactly what you're looking for. And the Energy Trust of Oregon provides some really great custom analysis and bids. You can, it's a very simple tool and very easy to use. Zach will link it in the chat for you. And this will really help you kind of understand and vet out, who you would like to be your solar installer and work with you. And then of course, the creme de la creme, the installation process. So once you've selected a contractor and you're all ready to go, it only takes about 1 to 2 days to install a solar energy system. It's pretty quick and pretty non-invasive. The contractor often will complete all of the paperwork that you would need to have a solar installation, which is great. And then of course, the contractor is expected to manage all inspections to make sure that your solar energy system is running smoothly. Often installations will also come with a solar energy monitor so that you're actually able to see your energy production in real time and be able to monitor that, which is super awesome. And if anything is kind of going awry or isn't working properly, you'll actually be able to see it in real time. Contact your installation company, and they often have pretty good warranties associated with the panels and the workmanship, so you can have those issues fixed and relatively easily. All right, so that about wraps up the overview of how solar works, and I hope that really helped you understand your options. We're here to answer any questions that you might have. We're going to provide just a really quick overview of an event that we're holding that we think aligns really well with this workshop, and then we'll get into your questions. So Zach and I have been working really hard on coordinating our 2021 Go Zero tour. So you can hear about how solar works from us, but we think it's really valuable for people looking to make this transition, not only to solar energy, but just to a more sustainable lifestyle, to be able to learn from the people that are doing it right here in our communities. And that's exactly what the Go Zero tour does. We have 2 different options. We have a virtual option on the 12th and the 14th, and we have a in-person option on Saturday the 16th. Zach will link the event tickets in the bio, so you'll be able to check that out. We hope that you're able to ask the homeowners themselves about their process about going solar and learn about some really cool projects. We're actually going to share one with you right now. We usually have a solar story at the end of these, so we decided to use one of our guests and one of our tour stops. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and this will take me to YouTube. Here's the poll. Found it.
I am a homeowner. I have been slowly adding as much as I can to get to 0. My name is Nicholas Kinsey. I live in Ashland, Oregon. So I started out with 10 panels and 2 batteries. Then I added a electric on-demand water heater and stopped using gas for that. And so that required quite a bit more energy. I added 6 more panels. In order to run that, I needed 2 more batteries. So I got a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle that can run on full electric or gas. I also added a wood stove last year that has a pretty impressive catalyst in it. I do have screens that go over the windows that keep the infrared heat from getting into the house. I've installed a solar tube in this bathroom over here. Every light in my house, with the exception of a row up here, are LED lights. In my front yard, I have a multi-grafted fruit tree that has nectarine, pluot, plum, and apricot. And then I planted a multi-apple, a walnut, 2 kinds of kiwi. I have multiple blueberry bushes, strawberries, goji berry. Every plant that I have has a purpose. Most of it is food. Some of it is herbs. Some of it's medicine. Probably the best thing I've done for sustainability is putting a 2,000-gallon water tank in the ground in front of my house to collect rainwater. Plus, I have a 100-gallon barrel on the back porch and a 60-gallon barrel that I use for other vegetables in the back. The city of Ashland is fantastic with the solar panel incentive. They sent me a check per kilowatt post-inspection. There's no absolute legitimate reason for not using the power of the sun. It seems odd that it's taking this long for it to become a mainstream thing, and I wish more people would do it just because of the benefits rather than looking for incentives or, waiting for the government to give them a kickback because they do it. Just doing it is gonna make a difference. My first piece of advice is get started right now. Don't wait. I have children. I want them to understand this is how we move forward. And I think you have to take action. The second piece of advice is don't skim. Don't go short. Shoot for 0. Shoot for a little past 0. Do it to give back. Do it to do the right thing, because that's what makes you feel good every day. And we need some of that, I think.
Awesome. Yes, I absolutely love Nicholas's analysis of how whole systems can kind of work in confluence with one another, from going solar to buying his vehicle to be electric, to harvesting the rainwater, to just like living that full sustainable lifestyle. And I think solar is the perfect catalyst for that. And I think once people even take the first steps to move toward a more just energy efficient home, which is definitely should be the first step, and then getting the solar, your whole lifestyle just kind of falls more in line with sustainability. And I think the Go Zero tour is, Nicholas is just one of 9 amazing site hosts, and this tour not only features residential homes, but also multifamily homes and even a tiny home. So definitely check it out. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any additional questions or want to talk with us separately outside of this, please send me an email, and we wish you the best of luck in your solar energy journey. Let's dive into any questions that you might have. Haven't seen any in the chat. Do we have any questions?
So we really do love questions. So go ahead and put them in the Q&A box. Just anything. No question is a bad question, and we're here to answer all the questions you guys have.
Oh, there's one in the chat. Zach, did you see that? Hi, great presentation. Thanks, Ian. Good to see you. Are there options for recycling the panels after decades and the PV efficiency gets very low?
Yeah, do you want me to take that, or do you?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's an important question because recycling, obviously, solar panels, there are physical materials that go into them, and it is important to be conscious of what those are. There actually is a recycler in the Portland metro area that accepts modules, I believe $5 for a module to recycle them. And the United States doesn't have overall a whole lot of solar recycling options right now, though I think you can expect a lot in the coming years. And part of that reason is that there isn't a huge stream of modules being recycled, because even the modules that were installed, 20 years ago are still spitting out energy, and they're still effective. And so, the lifetime of solar is pretty long. So there is an option now, and hopefully there'll be more options in the future.
And PV recycling is also a burgeoning industry. It's definitely one that the industry is prioritizing. A lot of the conferences and meetings that we've been on have touched on that in some way. And there's a lot of really innovative research and programs and creative ways that are being utilized to reuse PV systems that might not necessarily be permittable in other ways. So it's definitely a growing industry.
Ari, I think as people are thinking of questions, maybe while we still have everybody, we can run those polls.
Yes, I was just thinking that. So I'll go ahead and launch the location poll. This is nice and easy. Just let us know where you're dialing in from. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And I'll go ahead and share these results. Yeah, so we got Portland in the Willamette Valley representing. Thanks so much for joining us. Zach and I are also in Portland. All right, and I'll stop sharing that one. And then I'll go ahead and launch the familiarity poll. So I know y'all are solar experts now, but let us know how much familiarity you have with solar energy. All right, and I'll go ahead and share those results. So it looks like most of you have some experience with solar or some familiarity with how solar works. It looks like some of you don't. So thank you so much for coming and learning more about it. And then it looks like even some people have even spoken to an installer and are maybe looking to take the next steps. So we appreciate all degrees of learning, and we really appreciate you being here. All right, and then I have one more poll going out. This is going to be an anonymous survey, just asking a bit of demographic information that's useful for us as we tailor these presentations. So I'm just going to go ahead and launch that one. All right, final answers in. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. And yeah, anybody else have any questions or anything that they would like to know? Zach, is there anything that we may have missed? Oh, Ian, does the 2K example earlier include a home battery?
The 20K example, so the sample budget that we had, that's just for solar, not a battery. So batteries are, there are incentives that will cover batteries. The state rebate does provide money for solar and battery. Batteries are not cheap, but obviously they give you the value of resilience. So they allow you to use your solar when the grid is down, which solar on its own does not. It's really important to understand that about solar. So if you're looking for a battery, you can talk to a contractor. There's a lot that goes into that. You saw the homeowner in our video had 4 batteries, and that's actually a lot of batteries. Most people only get one. You really have to weigh cost versus functionality there.
Emilio asks, what is the best way to proceed? To contact Energy Trust?
Yeah, so I'll drop the link again, but this tool that Ari was describing, the Energy Trust of Oregon solar bid tool, it's very easy. It'll take you 5 minutes, and it's a great way to get contacted by 3 contractors who you know are Energy Trust trade allies and are highly qualified. That's what Solar Oregon always suggests to people in Energy Trust territory.
Yep, and we're excited for you to proceed with solar energy. Does PGE buy back excess energy produced?
That's another good question. So the mechanism by which you get credit is that net metering that Ari was talking about. Sometimes we get asked by farm owners, for example, can I put a huge solar farm on my land and sell that power to utility and start to make profit from it, make money from it? That's a little bit more complex. There are ways to become an independent power producer. The vast majority of people are not looking for that because they don't have the land to do that. And that's really the only case in which PGE will buy the excess energy. But with net metering, you get credits for it that you can use in the winter when it's not so sunny.
And one of the other sort of incentives that we didn't mention is that right now, those that don't own solar are subject to the inflation of rising energy costs. And when you go solar, you lock yourself into the current rate, utility rate of electricity. And that's another core way for you to really save on your energy costs. So while you might not receive a buyback, you will sort of lock yourself into that inflation rate. Anyone else have any other questions? All right, well, seeing none, I think we're going to end this webinar. I'm just dropping my email and Zach's email in the chat real quick. So that way, if you have any other questions or would like any supplemental information or just want to chat about your solar energy progress in general, you're welcome to send us an email and we're happy to do that. And thank you so much for spending your Wednesday evening with us, and best of luck on your journeys. This webinar was also recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel so that you can share it with friends and family. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.